Hi everybody, I'm Andy with Basecamp, and I want to show you our dumpster fire machine today. As you can see here, got a printer with a conveyor belt and a big dumpster. And in about a few seconds, it should do something pretty cool. It never really gets old. So what we've built is a virtual catharsis machine. You know, people can email their gripes, their dreams, whatever they may have lost, whatever they feel like, to dumpsterfire@hey.com. That's dumpsterfire@hey.com. It goes to a moderation queue. It gets printed out to go up here and then in there. Today is just going to be a quick video to show you how we built it, what runs it, you know, what's behind it, a little tech talk. So basically the whole thing runs on a Raspberry Pi. Now forgive the wire mess. We keep making changes to it, so I've left it loose so we can service things easily. That's the excuse that I use. Right there is our Raspberry Pi, poor little thing left out in the weather. It has a relay shield on it to run the conveyor and the dumpster. Those are all wired up here. So to get the conveyor to run, I just wired into the control panel here where the start and stop is. There's actually, I'm not going to show you right now, it's pretty hacked, but basically there's a industrial control box back here on the conveyor. This used to be a conveyor for a pill cap sorting machine that I took apart. In there are classic industrial controls that rely on low voltage signals to turn on the high voltage. So the Raspberry Pi calls for that, and it has to send a separate start signal and then its own stop signal, which is also the same circuit as the e-stop. If it breaks the continuity for a second, it stops the conveyor. Otherwise, it'll just run. The Raspberry Pi is running Node-RED that our programmer at Basecamp, Nathan, programmed for us to basically ingest emails from the inbox. It goes through AWS. He could talk a lot more about what makes that work. It goes through AWS, and then the ones that are approved become a print job. So this printer, this HP, doing pretty good out here, despite circumstances. Currently prints duplex because most printers print face down, and we wanted it face up. So we send it a PDF, which is 2 pages. The first page is blank, and the second page has the content. I put this tape on the conveyor to increase traction a little bit because the paper was slipping. This is very old rubber or polyurethane or something belt that is pretty worn out. The more that we can have the paper do a one-to-one relationship to the belt, the more predictable it is. Because it's got to go through that narrow little opening up there, and if it's askew or something, it just gets stuck. I'd say at the start we had like a 30% failure rate on prints. I mean, a lot of them were getting stuck, and we just get them in with the tongs. Now I think we're at like 5%. It's pretty low. Of course, right now I'm sure this next one is just gonna completely fail. But the Raspberry Pi handles all the timing once it has a successful job. So it looks for the printer to be done, fires up the conveyor, and it runs it to a spot right here so that this camera can see it. That's camera 2. Over there I have camera 1 that I'm actually on to, a few hundred people right now. Camera 3 is over there. So it pauses so you can actually see what you've sent, and then goes up and over this ramp that we've made. This ramp has had so many changes to make it so the paper wants to come down, so it's steep enough to come down, but not so steep that it just face plants into the grate. It has to actually go that way. And I added this nice license plate lid for it because it was getting wet. Our shipping container is not waterproof with that chimney there. Let me show you. A lot of people like the shipping container. So this is a 20-foot high cube, which is pretty rare. Most of your shipping containers, I don't know if you can see, sneak it through there. It's a 40-foot over there, believe me. It's a 40-foot. This is a 20-foot, but a high cube, which is super rare. It has an extra foot. We wanted the height for proportionality, just so it had a little more breathing room. My friend Ben Wolf and his teammates made the chimney And the greenhouse up there, we were gonna put plants in there, but it actually is too hot. Little roof. They actually cut the whole wall of the shipping container out and replaced the corners with a structural steel. Which is needed in case you want to, you know, not have the top collapse. Shipping containers are surprisingly floppy. You know, when you walk up there, it's like it bounces. There's a lot of play. The walls are not that strong. All the strength is in the corners. They're kind of amazing. They're pretty intensely built. You know, they're super thick in certain places. Like the doors. This one has doors on both ends. So the frames are super tough around the edges, whereas a normal shipping container with a flat wall, that wall is really floppy. What else should I show you? Oh, the flame mechanics. So this dumpster came out of a Red Bull House of Art project. It already had the TV hole in it. We put a TV in there. That's a Vizio 4K OLED, I think. It's been working well. It's been holding up against the elements. In here are loops of copper HVAC tubing that are supplied by a low-pressure propane vapor. It's ignited by these igniters. These are called hot surface igniters, HSIs, and we have 2 of them for redundancy, and we just leave them on. So they're on, you know, the whole time the product is going, because if gas is flowing and the igniters aren't going, it's really bad. It's extremely bad. So we made it nice and tough that it just runs. We don't have to rely on switching an ignite signal or anything, or relying on a pilot that might go out. But basically, it's you know, a few loops of this copper tubing, and it has small holes drilled into each tube to do the flame jets. We'll watch the next one go here. You know, the tube is actually drilled on the underside, so the flames sort of roll out instead of being too obvious. You know, sometimes the paper wasn't burning, so we added 1 jet. You'll see right there when this ignites that goes straight up to make it you know, almost foolproof. It's not nearly as hot as you might think. I mean, it's like definitely warm, but it's really just a big barbecue. It's set for a pretty inefficient flame right now, so it's nice and orange instead of a, you know, blue hot one. But you can see there, like, the flames all point downward into this basket that we had made. This whole thing is a tray of 1/8" plate that's in there and supported. I'll show you inside. Let's go around. See if the camera likes this low light. There we go. So there's a TV ratchet strapped in there. This was a real working dumpster. This was a compost dumpster, so it was super nasty inside. And it's still pretty nasty. I resist going in there whenever I can. Let's see if we can be inside for one. That's a drain for the tray. You can see the heat from the flames has blued the steel, which is pretty rad. I don't think we see anything from down here. Just a little bit in that middle drain there. But this is what supplies it. These copper lines here go to the dumpster. Down here we have a regulator that knocks the pressure way down. We have the pressure pretty high in the line. It acts as an accumulator because, you know, propane is stored as a liquid. And so when you allow the propane to expand something like, I think it's 270 times, don't quote me on that, but I think it expands 270 times from a liquid to a gas. It becomes a gas at room temperature, actually at a super low temperature. And so as you let it expand, you get a lot more of it. But this is our solenoid here. That's, I think that's 120 volt switched. Yeah, that's 120 volt industrial solenoid for it. The LED panel here makes this pretty spicy. It's like a club. Here we have just a manual shut off, so we know that it's off whenever we service it. That little T-block was going to go to a pilot light, but we decided not to do it that way. It's been pretty reliable. You know, again, the yellow line here switches the valve off the Raspberry Pi. And there's a second valve over here that opens for, again, more redundancy. This little thing has been very tattered. Oof, very professional. This is our second valve here, so you'll hear it close in a sec when the propane goes off to the contraption. Another manual valve, another regulator, but again, this one's much higher. I think the other one's like 6 psi. This is like 60. Now, this project has definitely not been without its challenges. I mean, if you look at it, it kind of looks pretty basic. You see a printer, you see a conveyor, and you see a dumpster. But we've had so many issues to contend with. You know, first, we had the wrong power supply, so the solenoids didn't want to run. It didn't have enough amperage. The ramp has given us tons of problems right here. Before, you know, this bend is new. It used to be longer. I mean, I think we've had 3 or 4 different revisions on the ramp. You know, trying to keep this motor cool is a challenge. We want it to be far enough away that it's not in the flames, but we want it close enough that we can get the paper into the center there. The printer angle, let me tell you, the printer angle has been intensely difficult. As you can see by the 2x4s, you know, we ran out of adjustment on the plate that we had made, and so we added some 2x4s so that the paper slips out of the printer evenly. We want it to come out nice and straight and reliably, and as you know, the weather gets to it and moisture is out there, the paper does not want to slide, of course. It's important that the paper lands squarely on the belt so it takes up nice. So this one's actually a little bit off to the right. I think it'll go in. I got a pretty good feeling for these nowadays. Let's see if it goes in. Oh, see that little hesitation? It's always stressful. So the physical side is only part of it. I mean, the software has been really important. This is our moderation queue that runs on the Raspberry Pi, so I'm connected to it through the network. And so what we do is we look at the content. Oh, that's fine. You know, it's a gripe about COVID. We've seen a lot of those. We hit approve. We just kind of look through these. You know, a little bit of swearing is okay. We just don't want anything hateful or harassing, so we go through and we review every one. Before, what we had to do was basically hit print on every single one that we wanted to send, and that would go through the whole print command and do the whole flow. But I think I pressed print like 1,400 times. So now it's in a queue, so we approve them ahead of time, and the printer and dumpster just runs on a time interval. It looks for a successful print before it sends it, so it isn't just like, you know, printing and burning and, you know, stacking up, or if it's out of paper, it's actually pretty smart. I've been really happy with it. But now we just go through and just keep approving them. So, you know, we have 136 approved there, just over 16, almost 17,000 that require approval. We're streaming through Twitch. We had originally used IBM Video, which was Ustream, and then we got a 35,000 hour viewer bill because you get billed for viewer time. It was way more popular than we thought it was going to be. So we switched to Twitch, and so now it goes, the cameras go what's called NDI HX, goes through the Ethernet there, up to a MacBook I have in the studio. They all go into OBS, which is an open source broadcast, I don't know what the S stands for, software. And then that goes out to Restream through RTMP. And then Restream sends it to IBM because our clip logic is still there. When you email this, it sends an email confirming that we got your email. And then after it burns, it sends you a clip of your job that ran, you know, because we don't want you to need to sit around. Our backlog is like a month right now, you know. So Restream sends it to IBM for the clip logic, Twitch for the viewing public. I think we're also still sending it to YouTube so people can embed it or stream it at home, you know, if they want to put it on the family TV during the holiday, you know. Be the cool kid if you did that. The playlist, everybody asks us, the playlist is just Spotify, royalty-free, chill hop. You know, it's like 26 hours long. You can't beat it. I would love to have like local artists and stuff, but you know, we've done this project really quickly. So we'll keep adding stuff. You know, if you watch the project, you've seen it's evolved. It used to be really basic. I think the last thing I'll talk about is all these LEDs. So there's like 1,200 LEDs, and they're all around the box there. Goes up the conveyor, they're around behind the dumpster, a little lazy, I just taped them on the side. That's running on what's called Pixel Blaze. Pixel Blaze is a really cool little tiny chip. I'll show you, we're doing video. The Pixel Blaze lives in here. Oh, there it is, little tiny guy. The Pixel Blaze, you can control through Wi-Fi. So it puts up a little page, and you can set different patterns. This pattern's called Rainbow Melt. This is the Pixel Blaze version 2. Version 3, I think, just came out. Super cool. These are just, I think it's WS2812s. I don't know my LEDs that well. I'll look it up before I write the post for the vlog. But yeah, it just runs a chase sequence. You supply 5 volts to that power supply there. And you have a clock wire or a data wire that they all time themselves off of. It can run, I think each Pixel Blaze can run like 4,000 LEDs, maybe 5,000, depending on your timing and buffer rate. Your limits are really power. You know, I think this is like a 40 amp setup right now, or 50 amp setup at 5 volts. And that's the max that power supply can handle. If I set these all to full white, you'd see like half of them would be, you know, brownish. Just doesn't have the juice. Whole thing is networked with Ethernet. I'm sure our ops guys love my pile of wires. I'm the head of marketing. I'm not the head of ops, so don't conflate this with the quality of our networking stuff. Wanted to show you what night mode is like because it's pretty cool. I like the way these LEDs all chase. I was describing them earlier and it really didn't do it justice. So, yeah, hope you enjoy this. If you have any questions, hit me up. That Detroit Andy on Twitter or Andy@basecamp.com. I'll answer whatever questions you've got. So, thanks. See ya.